When I found you, I saw raw, untamed power. And beyond that, something truly special.
Something inside me has always been there. But now it's awake. And I need help.
I've seen this raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now. Let the past die. Kill it. If you have to. That's the only way to become what you were meant to be. We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down. Come on! This is not going to go the way you think. Fulfill your destiny.
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
Star Wars: The Last Jedi was an okay movie.
And there are some things that we hate about it. That's what this review is going to be. But first, we're going to get the good things out of the way. We're going to start with you. What do you think was good?
I think what was good was the comedy. Like when Rey stuck out her hand instead of reached out her hand, sorry, and when Chewie just ate a pork and the one pork started crying.
That was his best buddy.
Probably.
The good thing for me has got to be the music. John Williams does a good job with the score over the past couple of years. He done all the movies, eh? I thought that The Last Jedi was probably one of his best. I mean, there were mostly remixes of the old ones, but it's still a pretty good job. So, how about let's start with the review. There are spoilers ahead, so if you have not seen the movie, I suggest you do not watch this video. But let's dive right in. So the movie starts with some sort of battle over some planet with and Poe gets on some space intercom with General Hux, I think his name is.
Yes.
Yeah. And the first joke in it is a yo mama joke. It's like, I'm on hold with your mother or something. And,
Around that.
Yeah. It's like, I don't think yo mama jokes exist in the galaxy, but apparently they do. And then Hux gets all mad and Poe goes on some suicide mission with the turrets and stuff like that. Destroys everything. And then bombers suddenly come in. But you can't drop bombs when there's no gravity. That's what I don't get.
If they were magnetic bombs, okay, but then they wouldn't have been able to leave the ship.
Yeah. Like, if there's no gravity, the bombs would probably drop for a couple seconds, go back up, blow up the ship.
Yeah. And in the they made Luke just throw the lightsaber over his shoulder. That was kind of a good part, but
you look at his face in The Force Awakens, that doesn't look like what he was gonna do.
yeah.
That looks like, it's like a, oh my god, my lightsaber. But instead it's like, takes one good look at it,
Just tosses it out of the way.
bye. And then just the rest of that is just Rey puppy dogging over Luke. Oh yeah, I need a teacher. Go help the Resistance. We need Luke Skywalker. I mean, he follows him all over the place. And then there's like this one part where Luke just drinks the milk of
some weird Zarlak-looking creature.
some elephant goose
I
creature.
don't know what it was.
It's a mix of a goose, an elephant, and a cow.
And a seal.
And then you get a good shot of his lips. It's just all green.
Yeah, and in one part, this is a little later in the movie, but you see Rey when Luke finally decides to start training her. Rey reaches out with the Force, and she can feel all the different aspects of the Force: life, death, growth,
Yeah.
light. She could sense all the animals, and she could also sense darkness, but she sensed nothing from Luke because he had cut himself off from the Force. But the darkness, when she finally went to go explore it, it was all just confusing to me. I didn't know what was going on.
And where was Chewie in this movie? The only good scene Chewie had was when he was, what you said earlier, he was about to eat a porg, and then all those porgs are legit crying. You ate my best buddy Billy. What is going on?
It's okay, Bill.
Yeah. That was the legit. Maybe he bought that off KFP, Kentucky Fried Pork.
Right.
Wait, no, it's not Kentucky Fried Pork. It's Kashyyyk Fried Pork.
Right. But when Luke finally decides to talk to Rey after throwing the lightsaber over his shoulder, he says, "Do you honestly think I'm gonna go and face down the whole First Order with a laser sword?" About 2 days later, in the time of the movie, he's out there with a laser sword.
We'll get to that later. There's also some storyline I didn't like with Finn and Rose in the casino planet.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Rose, in my opinion, and I think yours, was not a good character.
No, one of the worst.
Finn, at the beginning of the movie, was trying to desert the ship to attempt to save the whole of what was left of.
No, he was gonna try to find Rey.
Oh yeah, he was gonna go and find Rey to help save the rest of the Resistance, but Rose decides to be arrogant and stops him.
Well, at first she's all fangirling over him. Oh yeah, what you did in the Starkiller base. Oh no, you left the First Order. And then it's like, you're running away. Zaps him, paralyzes him.
And puts him in a garbage bin.
I don't know what that was.
And later in the movie, near the end, Finn's gonna save everyone, sacrificing himself for everyone. And he could have made the First Order fall apart by killing Kylo. But Rose had to be arrogant again and go and save him, and caused hundreds of more deaths.
Yeah, Disney ending. It's about saving what you love.
Yeah, and he was saving who he loved.
Yeah,
But
maybe all his friends. And then you risk your friends in danger only because you love them?
Like, really?
It's dumb. And, yes, about going back to that casino planet, I didn't like it. I didn't know what the point of that was. I think it was to find some hacker to go into Snoke's ship and,
They
and
found the
disable it.
hacker, but were drawn away from him.
Wasn't because they got arrested, but they managed to escape because of another hacker, but one they didn't look for, they weren't looking for.
And while I think they rested, I don't know, but he was, I believe, contacted by the First Order, and he was given a much larger bounty.
Yeah, toward the end, they managed to get in the door, about to disable the ship, and then all the stormtroopers come in. Phasma comes in, about to sacrifice Finn and Rose. There's the hacker getting a bounty from the First Order.
And if you think about it, Phasma, it never really states this, but Han Solo, being as smart as he is, and having experienced this, when they threw Phasma into the garbage compound thing,
Compactor.
he would have known to disable all communications that she had.
Yeah, she probably had communication saying, hey, close this.
Yeah, but Han, having had experience with that, would have known how to prevent her from escaping, and
Yeah, because Luke did the exact same thing in The New Hope with the communications.
he made sure to have communication. So how would she have gotten out?
I don't know.
And why wouldn't she use her blaster as much in the battle?
Yeah, I know. Kylo Ren went from a bad guy to a good guy to a bad guy again to a good guy again. He went left and right.
And you pointed this out to me today. And this also leads to one of my theories, that Snoke is still alive, and that was just a force projection of him. Because he's so powerful with the Force, he could have created a much more lifelike Force ghost than Luke had been able to.
And more explanation towards this. If that was really him, he would have sensed Kylo Ren turning the lightsaber
Because
to kill him.
Just before he died, he said, I can sense his every intent.
Yeah, and then it's like 12 seconds later he kills him. So either he was too busy going, whoa, I'm Snoke, to realize that, or it was just a force projection of him.
Yeah.
Even if that was him, if he's really dead, that's stupid. Because it makes him seem like he's this emperor of the new trilogy, and then they kill him off in legit the worst death possible.
Another thing that I thought was quite interesting was Hux pulling out his gun after Kylo was knocked out by Rey. He attempted to pull out his gun to kill Kylo Ren. Why would he have been doing this? That is a good cliffhanger. But at the end, they don't really leave much of a cliffhanger. Also, Rey stole the original Jedi texts. So when Yoda destroyed the guard place, which wasn't much of a guard, it was just a tree. And how can you build a tree?
I don't think he built a tree. I think it was a tree, but he somehow made a hut of it, just like Yoda did.
Right, but she said, how am I going to start over from this, holding Anakin's broken lightsaber? Well, you have the original Jedi texts. You probably have the oldest designs for lightsabers in history. You could start over entirely.
Well, Rey didn't really steal them. She just went in Luke's little tree, looked at the texts, and then that was it. Yoda destroyed the texts.
But Yoda even says these texts were not in there. And I think I'm probably just
I don't know if she really stole. I think Yoda burned them down, and CG Yoda looked terrible than he did. He looked worse than he did in the prequels.
Well, because the one in the animation that they were attempting to use was that they tried to match what was used in A New Hope or in the first movies.
Empire.
Yeah, in the Empire one. And Yoda, he had a much older kind of look to him, and also he was a actual puppet. Like there was an actual guy inside there, or they used a puppet, but the guy was this time instead of using a puppet, a handmade puppet, they used animation. And also, Yoda, if he appeared right then, he could have appeared at any time and stopped the massacre. He could have just come up with a giant lightning strike in space. It's legit. If you watch the Clone Wars, it's legit. Because they go through gas storms which have lightning in them. And so Yoda could have helped that entirely.
Yeah.
And when we see this scene of the middle-aged Luke in the temple, the look that he's giving isn't like, I'm gonna kill you. It's more like, what am I going to do? You are too powerful, you've already been corrupted, what am I going to do? And then when he turns it on, you immediately see regret in having turned it on.
There's two different sides of the story, though, because Rey kept asking, why did you do this? Why did you kill Han? All that stuff. There's two different sides, because Kylo said his side. He said that Luke legit wanted to kill him because he hated him. And the look that was shown in that vision of Kylo's, Luke's look looked like I want to kill you. But in Luke's vision, it had regret, it had confusion, it had, I shouldn't do this, but I must.
And you have pointed this out to me earlier. Disney spat in our face because they threw us the biggest cliffhanger of all in Episode 7. Who were Rey's parents?
Yes.
For a long time, I thought it could have been someone who lived on the Ghost, which is a ship in Star Wars Rebels, a TV show. But nope, they're nobody.
Just sold you for drinking money.
But also, why would he want that? Why would Kylo want Rey to believe that her parents were nobody so that he can get her onto his side, make her feel like nothing, the way many people that went to the dark side had?
I mean, for the longest time I thought it was a Jedi because she'd have those kind of genetics to know the Force, have the Force, because you can't automatically have the Force unless you are a virgin birth like Anakin was. So either Kylo is not telling the truth, or Rey is more like an Anakin and the Force made her just like Anakin.
Yeah. And maybe she'd been found by people and they cared for her and ended up having someone for all their needs.
Yeah, because they lived on Jakku, eh? And Jakku, as you've seen, it's a very poor place. They treat their slaves terribly, possibly more terribly than Tatooine.
Yeah, and they execute their people. On Jakku, they'll just pick on other people and say, oh, you found something that was worth 15 portions yesterday, I'm gonna give you 2.
Yeah. Also, in the end, as you stated earlier, Luke came... Wait, no. We didn't even state one of the worst parts. Admiral Purple Hair.
Yes, the worst character in our opinion of the movie, other than Rose.
I mean, Leia was almost killed off. I mean,
And how did she just suddenly get the Force? Like, everyone has the Force though, but how did you just suddenly be able to summon the Force like a Jedi?
she got blown up by 2 TIE fighters because Kylo Ren couldn't do it. And then, which Admiral Akbar was in, he should have said it's a trap.
It's a trap.
And just like in space, she looks dead, looks up, Force farts her way back into the ship. And then the other people just open the door, no questions asked. And then Admiral Purple Hair shows up. Oh yeah, I'm in command now because Leia's in a space coma.
And like, they killed off the oldest person in Star Wars at the time, who was Admiral Akbar. He'd been around. He was still a general when during the Clone Wars.
Clone Wars veteran, Rebel veteran, Resistance veteran. He was the only Last Jedi person who had been there all 3 eras.
Yes, and who were all these other people that looked familiar in that bridge?
On the bridge, I think it was Nine Numb. You know that
Nien Nunb?
the co-pilot for
Wait,
Lando
What
on Endor.
what happened to him? We saw one scene with him in the movie. What happened to him?
I think he's still alive.
I don't know, because wasn't he getting into his ship when the bay was blown up?
I don't really know.
We don't know about this. You can tell us in the comment section, but we need help.
Yeah. But Admiral Purple Hair, when he shows up and becomes Admiral, what did she do?
Yeah, she said that she was a hero in one of the major battles.
One of the major battles.
But we see most of the major battles, which is like 3.
Which is mostly Poe. Poe should be the commander, because he's been in the Battle of Takodana where they saved Han, Chewie, and Finn in The Force Awakens. He's been in the Starkiller battle.
He was in
that battle in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Shouldn't Poe be the commander more than anybody
Yeah.
in the Resistance?
And okay, another good piece of comedy. Leia, she does not want Poe to just. She thinks that Poe's just the type of person who likes to blow stuff up, just get in a spaceship and blow stuff up. Kind of missions is what she thinks that he likes. And when a dreadnought comes out of hyperspace, he says permission to jump in a ship and blow stuff up.
Permission granted.
It was pretty funny.
It actually was. I actually laughed at that. But Leia should know that kind of personality. Luke was legit the same thing, just like his father before him. Now this is pod racing.
Yeah, like, and why do they want? We never see dreadnoughts, so why do they know about dreadnoughts? Like, if we saw the dreadnoughts before, we probably would have realized why they would be afraid. When they said dreadnought, I thought it was just a small little ship.
That was actually what I thought, and then they make it like a big Star Destroyer type thing.
And it doesn't look like it has very many docking bases. It looks like it's mostly just artillery.
Yeah. And the end, the Luke scene. There are many ways to tell that he was actually a projection.
Yes. Number 1, it shows a close-up of their feet. It shows Kylo's as he steps away. As he steps, you see red, where he took an old layer of salt off. You see Luke, it stays white. But we don't see any power from Luke anywhere.
All he does is like a Matrix style dodge. It's like, and then you get this close up shot of the lightsaber going like that, just missing it.
And you also see, and Kylo starts to be acting like a child with his ball of snow and a stick, just poking it. He stabs him and he's like, what? And it seems like he wanted to get more into it, just constantly just stab him.
I know. And I don't think we said this earlier, but the part where they tried committing the plan, where Leia, Poe, C-3PO, and the rest of the guys just try going to that salt planet, and Snoke ship just starts blowing stuff up. Admiral Purple Hair stays there, watches almost half her friends get destroyed before she decides to do anything. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go on light speed and just boom, take apart Snoke ship and all the fleet.
You do hear when there's no such thing anymore as autopilot.
There's no autopilot. I mean, she could have saved herself. I mean, she could have put a timer in. Yeah, you said this to me today or yesterday. Went with Leia, and then the autopilot would just put the ship through, and everyone would be alive. Hooray! But she deserved what she got in this movie.
Yeah.
And about that, it's like Snoke's ship and that one Resistance ship going like this for an hour. That's the movie. Pew pew.
Yeah, and you see, and in every scene that we have of them in space, we see them. It's like, oh, we're low on fuel. A day later, we're still low on fuel. We've gone down an inch on the monitor. We finally get to the planet. We didn't have any fuel. You know that, right?
This was me when I went to see it opening night. Eventually, you're gonna run out of fuel, and then they're gonna kill you. Do something progressive.
Like, at least try to fire back.
Yeah. I think that was what they tried for like a couple minutes, and then they just gave up. And then they just put shields all around it so that they wouldn't die.
And Admiral Purple Hair made another very stupid move, sending all of her troops, all of her remaining troops, onto the escape carriers instead of escape pods, which I can understand why they're faster, but no shields and no guns.
Another thing, this movie are trying to make girls the superhero. I mean, I get how with the other movies there's not much girl people in Star Wars. I mean, you got Padme, you got that girl from Rogue One that no one remembers, you got Aunt Beru and Leia, and now Rey. Those are the only five.
And in Clone Wars, you have Ahsoka.
Yeah, and that's it. But Last Jedi tries to make girls more superheroes. Of course, you got Rose, and now you have Admiral Purple Hair. It's like Admiral Purple Hair never told no one the plan. It's like, oh yeah.
And you could have made the heroism more legit than it was.
I mean, Poe tries to ask her what the plan is. It's like, do you at least have a plan? It's like, oh yeah, I know your type. You're a flyboy. Didn't Princess Leia demote you as her last request?
It wasn't her last request because
she's not dead.
Because she even said that after they pulled her out of space.
I mean,
and in space you see her hands are frozen solid. Like there's
no one
ice.
Can survive it.
And like even Plo Koon, when he goes up, he can survive in space because of his species.
Yeah.
The atmosphere is not very strong.
The only reason he wears a mask half the time is because he can't survive in oxygen. He needs that mask on planets like Coruscant or all those other planets because they have oxygen, and if he takes it off, it will kill him. So I understand with Plo Koon, but with Leia,
But-
she can't survive.
And Plo Koon, his species has a lower atmosphere, so there's more pressure. He can survive in space, but only for a few minutes.
Yeah, so she, in the
But
Clone
she was
Wars-
out there for hours, and also they hadn't flown away from her yet, so they would have been within range of
Hitting her.
the other ship.
And yeah, with Luke, they killed him off in the worst way possible. It's like, oh yeah, I got. But there is some pretty good comedy in that scene, of course. You know where all those AT-ATs all shoot at him.
And then,
And
you
then
think you got him?
Do you think you got him? Stops. Luke just comes out.
And then he knocks Hux out by slamming him into a control panel. And this time not having a Skywalker rage tantrum. I feel like the next Skywalker that we see is gonna be like Luke and be calm and stuff. Then after him, rage. It's gonna be like a pattern. Every other person,
Anakin, rage. Luke, calm. Kylo.
rage.
Yeah, there
But
are
he's
some good
he's better
temper
at-
tantrums.
But he's better at holding it in.
Yeah, than he was in the last movie. He just temper tantrums every single chance he got. At least with this one. But no, he didn't have a good job holding it in this movie either. Because it's, you want to know how to get him mad? Call him a child in a mask. And then he just slams his helmet.
They threw something in from the other movie where the stormtroopers saw the destroyed helmet and they walked away.
With Kylo, throws a helmet on the elevator wall. Wouldn't he risk the elevator being breaking and then getting
Yeah.
crushed?
And the stormtroopers, they're walking down the hall and they see Kylo storm out and go down
Prepare
the
my
other hall.
ship.
And they have to go up the elevator too.
Yeah.
But when the elevator door opened and he walked away, they would have been able to see the helmet in the elevator.
I mean, the stormtroopers' reactions to Kylo's tantrums, they are funny. They make the entire audience laugh. As I always see the opening night, so they laugh, they clap, and the audience were like laughing at those. I mean, that one at The Force Awakens where the stormtroopers are all like, "Okay, he crazy. Let's go to the next room."
When I went to watch episode 7, there was the whole theater was full. When I went to go watch this movie, about the same amount of time afterward, there was no one. There was not even half the theater was full. I think.
I think it's because no one really wanted to see this movie a second time. I mean, The Last Jedi was the first movie I wanted to see a second time because I thought about making a review by myself, but then I was like, oh yeah, you've seen this too. We should do this at the digital creator thing. And we thought of this idea. But with Luke, I don't think we talked about his death. After the projection, you see him sweating, and I thought the second time I watched it, I think he actually felt those shots, but tried to hold it in as much as he could, and those lightsaber shots. So when it came to stopping that projection, he just lost it. It's like, oh yeah, I'm dying.
Yeah, and JJ has admitted to a small mistake. When he disappeared into the Force, you see him fade off. It's only material that, like only human material, like your skin and stuff, that disappears to the Force. So his robot arm would not have. That was just a mistake, but I noticed it. It was pretty visible.
And Luke had like kind of a Yoda death, but except way quicker. It's like a peaceful.
It was like,
And then you see his cape just. And in the beginning of the movie, Luke is all like, the Force isn't about lifting rocks. You know what Rey does in the end?
She lifts rocks.
She lifts rocks.
And how did Luke learn? Lifting rocks, lifting his ship, lifting Yoda.
Lifting R2.
Wow!
And, I barely even seen R2 in this movie. I think the only scene we seen R2 was when he talked to Luke, and it's like Luke is like, I'm never coming back. And then R2...
Where was C-3PO? I can't remember. Was he on the deck with Leia?
He was with Leia, because when Luke, Force projecting Luke came in, it's like,
yes.
Master Luke, with a little wink. I don't know what that wink was for. It's like a hello, or more like a, oh yeah, this is a trick.
I think because he's getting old, like, as you saw in episode 7, he had a red arm. Maybe there's still minor damage. Like, you can't fix everything, and he's also getting old, so it could have just been like a extremely minor power loss.
But yeah. And then Rose is unconscious right now, and Finn takes her in the Falcon. You see Finn checking on Rose. Wasn't he originally gonna date Rey?
Yeah.
It's like you build them up for a new romance. You put some new character in, and now Finn and Rose are in a romance.
Like, it's weird.
I don't get it. I don't.
And how did this is what's been bothering me since the moment I saw the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they go from one of the most powerful armies at the current time, because the First Order still had to recover from
the Star Killer,
millions of losses of lives and generals they had.
Yeah.
So, how did they become such a small force?
Mm-hmm.
When did they get Finn onto the ship? Because we see Finn in the water stuff, the portable Becca tank.
That's another thing. He gets out of that. You see this man half naked in a plastic suit, and then it's like BB-8 telling Poe, and then Poe's like, Finn, naked, water suit, and then you see Finn, water squirting out of these tubes.
I'm happy because one thing I'm happy about is that they didn't have it all clear, like the whole thing just being a clear plastic. So they made underneath what was touching his skin, gray. I'm happy for that.
Mm-hmm. You know, kids watch these. We can't have nudity, folks.
The rated R version.
I think that would be the first Star Wars movie to ever be rated R.
Yeah. If they'd made it that way.
So yeah, and then in the Falcon you see Poe and Rey introduce each other, which means we could see a Poe and Rey relationship and a Finn and Rose at the same time. But you never really know. And I think I wish JJ could do episode 9 and recover these mistakes.
Yeah, I think JJ, like, I feel sorry for what's the guy's name who wrote episode 8?
Episode 8, Rian Johnson.
I feel sorry for Rian Johnson for all the hates that he's getting. He worked hard, but
he tried his best. I gotta give credit to Rian.
You, like, maybe this is just advice for really every movie maker in the world. Maybe try looking on YouTube, on other websites, for what people are looking for in Star Wars.
It's like,
and kind of like group it together and make a story with what you want in it, but also what we want in it.
It's like, if you're doing another installment of a franchise, like a Star Wars, like a Friday the 13th, like a Star Trek, at least watch the other movies so you get the backstory, you know the personality of your characters, so that way you understand more, and the fans who have watched these movies for years, they'd know that that's the same character that we all know and love. I mean, that was not Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill even said in an interview, that is not my Luke Skywalker. That is not the Luke Skywalker that I knew. I mean, Luke would never throw a lightsaber over the back of his head. He'd never kill his own family. But Rian Johnson tried. Mark Hamill tried with everything he had. Same with all the rest of the actors of this movie.
Like, they all tried their hardest, and Luke said, when Luke asked Rey what the Force was, what Rey thought the Force was, she said it's something that the Jedi can use, and
To make things float.
To make things float and to control people's minds.
Correct.
Yes, you see
everything you said in that
sentence. Luke
sentence.
do that. You've seen Luke make things float, and you've seen Luke choke people. I just had to throw that out there.
Rey's explanation seemed wrong. Make things float? She's not Pennywise. I mean, the Force, I'm a geek, is by all living thing. It binds us, it penetrates us, it binds the galaxy together. Obi-Wan Kenobi quote. And it's not all about controlling people and making things float, really. That's what I think Luke meant.
Yeah, but from like he was asking her like she was supposed to know what Obi-Wan had told her, or told him. How is she supposed to know? She's been living nowhere for her whole life.
She had the Force 5 hours ago.
And this is just a theory that I just want to put out there that I've seen on YouTube. Finn being sensitive to the Force.
That was what I thought because poster of the
when
Force
they
Awakens.
say have you felt the awakening? There's been an awakening in the Force. That's before we even see any Force sensitivity in Rey. We
That
see
was probably
some form of Force sensitivity in Finn.
That was probably Snoke probably knew that there was an awakening, and that awakening probably was Rey. We just didn't know it yet.
And it could have even been them both, like
It could.
because you see stormtroopers, they all have terrible aim. But you see Finn, and he's using every other weapon you could probably name.
He hits everything.
And he hits his targets.
So
Stormtroopers are known for their bad aim. Hey, clones, get back into commission.
it's just a clone car. A clone car. It's the safest car in the world. It never hits anything.
Yeah, and when, wait, what was I thinking of? Dang, I forget.
But The Last Jedi, to wrap this up, The Last Jedi is not a movie that you should really hate, but there should be some things that you expected that isn't in the movie. I expected maybe we get more of Snoke's backstory. Maybe no Rey's parents, like not nobodies.
Oh, something that I also noticed, in the Clone Wars TV show, there's one set of 3 or 4 episodes about Jedi younglings who go on a mission to get their kyber crystals for their lightsabers.
Oh yeah.
Those crystals were extremely small. The crystal we see in Anakin's is huge. It takes up almost like a quarter of his
lightsaber.
of the inside of his lightsaber, and that too was split in half.
So maybe, oh yeah, because Rey and Kylo split the lightsaber apart. Maybe you could take both those crystals. Maybe you could each make one lightsaber out of it.
Yeah, like we see Kylo, the way he made his lightsaber more stable than it was, because
It was unbalanced.
He tried to what is known as bleeding. He tried to bleed darkness into his kyber crystal to make it red. But it could be very dangerous and explosive.
Yeah, that was why he needed those two.
He had damaged it, so thus making it unstable and sparky.
So he needed those two little cross things to stable a weapon and make it less explosive.
So Rey and Kylo could do that. They could
each take the crystal and make each a lightsaber out of it. I mean, that really wouldn't really destroy
we also see Kylo kill his friends from Luke's temple. The Knights of Ren were the ones that were in red, I think, and
those red guards.
Yeah, those. I think those were.
Yeah, I think if you go back to the Force Awakens,
there's 12 of them.
They look a hell of a lot like those Knights of Ren, those people that murdered all the Jedi in Rey's vision in the Force Awakens. Those actually look a lot like the Knights of Ren. So I think I see what you're
just in a
there.
different color armor, and there's 12 of them. There was 12 other students, right? And they were all 12 were taken by Kylo to Snoke, and they all seem to know how he fights. We see them fall faster to Rey than they do to Kylo, because they've trained with him.
So, again, I'm not saying don't see this movie. We're just stating our feelings of The Last Jedi. I mean, I'm still gonna buy The Last Jedi when it comes out on March 27th.
Because we want to be able to study it.
I mean, I am a huge Star Wars fan. The only movie I have not bought yet is Rogue One. I don't think that really counts because you don't know anybody. I mean, the characters were so forgettable. I mean, the plot was terrible.
I don't even remember the name of the blind dude.
I don't even remember the name of anyone except for Vader and Tarkin because I knew them.
Jyn Erso.
Jyn Erso, that was the girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So The Last Jedi is a good movie.
There was a lot wrong with it.
There's a lot wrong with it, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So this isn't a review saying.
What we're trying to say is go watch it, see how you feel.
And
we're just saying how we feel. You can tell us how you feel about the movie.
Yeah, in the comments below, state your feelings on The Last Jedi. Is there any bad things that we missed, or is there any parts that we missed that you didn't like? And this has been Willym 1984.
Hemo Clone Trooper.
And we will see you in the next video.